And we are here talking about theater and improv. So who's going to do the first question?
All right, I shall do the first one, I guess. I'll ask the both of you.
Okay.
All right. When did you first fall in love with theater and improv?
I'm going to look at you.
Okay, great.
Yes, okay, we'll start with Richard.
I have always loved performing. Ever since I was a little kid, I would do little performances on my grandma's front porch for the family. They didn't pay attention, but they were great performances. Once I got into high school, that's when I did more theater. And outside of high school, I did a lot of theater and various shows around Long Beach.
Okay.
And then about 7 years ago, I got into improv through Held2gether and have loved it since.
Very good.
Nice.
Thank you. Agnes.
Well, fall in love with theater and improv. I guess love would be a strong word. I guess like.
Strong like.
I haven't
Crush?
been. Yeah, crush. Yeah.
Your acquaintances with improv.
I know. It's the mistress. I mean, I haven't been doing it as long as you have, Richard.
I mean, who has?
That's true. The great Richard Martinez.
That's right.
I get to sit next to him.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I did more film acting, so it was different because we could mess up.
Right. Right.
And so when we started doing theater, it was very nerve-wracking because it's just one take. You know, you couldn't mess up. So that was kind of actually that was and still is very scary.
Yeah.
But then I think improv helps a lot in improv lessons so that when you do mess up, you take it. And I think a lot of times when we do improv, the mistakes are the funniest moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than like having it just go the straight and narrow. You have a mistake and all of a sudden, we're trying to justify this mistake and then it just gets wacky and so funny. So I think improv has definitely helped me transition from film to theater because I just remember the first time, like, I can't mess up. I cannot mess up. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, there's no like safety net in a live theater production.
But then that's what improv gives you. It allows you to make the mistake, and knowing that with the improv background, it's like, that's all right. I'll fix it.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
Yeah.
When did you fall in love with theater and improv?
I was thinking about this, and I was in like 5th grade at Vallecito Elementary.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Shout out.
Yes.
Shout out.
I think it's not there anymore. But there was a play that we were doing for our class called The Reluctant Dragon. Shout out.
Yes,
Maybe
go Dragons.
It was a better movie. So then they were asking everybody who wanted to be what part. And then they asked, like, who would want to be the boy, the lead? And for some reason, I said, I do.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of lines, and it was on stage like all the time.
Yeah.
And I loved it for some reason. I don't know. I haven't had enough, therapy to understand why that was such a enticing thing. But from then really on, I really loved performing and loved that immediacy of the audience. And there's something about that high wire act of being on stage that is such a thrill. And I know that some people get just terrified of that, but for some reason I always enjoyed that. So I think that's about it. The Reluctant Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to Google that.
Yeah.
All right. So, why is theater and improv important to go see and important to you?
Shall I?
Sure.
Okay. We'll figure out the order. By the end of this, we'll be
pros.
Smooth.
So smooth.
Yes.
Why is theater and improv so important to see? Well, I guess in my opinion, in this day and age, especially in Southern California, you can go probably days, if not weeks, without actually interacting with anyone. You don't need, you can have food delivered, you can get your gasoline, and without talking to anybody, you can do everything in the world. And I think that improv and theater is important for people to experience because it reminds us of each other's humanity.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it really helps us all get into a room together and remind us what's going on in life, and how can we, how we're all similar, how we're all different, and so I guess that's why it's thrilling to me.
Yeah. For me, I think theater. Yeah, I echo what you've said. I think it reminds us of our humanity. Yeah. I know that whenever I go and see a show, it's very just rewarding and inspiring to see what goes into a production on all different scales. I have season tickets to the Pantages, and so we just saw. We just saw Hello, Dolly, right?
Sure.
And so you're sitting there like, oh, there's Betty Buckley, like Broadway legend, and all these amazing performers with a fantastic show and all these technical elements, and you're thinking, wow, how amazing, and you're right there. And I was fortunate enough to have pretty decent seats, and you are able to see just how things work. And then you also have theater on a more intimate level, and that to me, I love that probably more than the bigger scale shows, just because you're right there. Mm-hmm. You're seeing everything in these performers' faces and body language and all of that, and it's just one of those things that we don't get to see all of the time. Like Chris said, like we're sort of in our own boxes that we've created. And to be able to reach out and see somebody express something that maybe you connect to. And then to add to that, I mean, like, that's why theater, I think, is important to go see. Why improv is important to go see is because it's alive. It's right there in the moment. It's being created before your very eyes. And it's this sort of connecting device between the audience and the performers, because the performers can't do it without the audience, and the audience, wouldn't be seeing anything without the performers. And so because of that, there's just this connection. And I think anytime that we can have connection in 2019 is fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's my answer. Yeah.
And didn't she reply to your tweet?
Oh, Betty Buckley?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There were some very attractive dancers in the show, and I tweeted about them. And I did not tag Betty Buckley in the tweet, but she just happened to see it. No, I just mentioned, I tagged the Pantages, and then I guess she saw it and replied and agreed that they were something to look at, and they were. And I would go see the show again. For that.
That's cool.
That's the human connection.
Sure.
Yes.
That's the connection.
That's cool that she replied.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Really super cool.
Agnes, what about you?
Well, theater and improv, I guess it's important to me because I'm a mom with 3 kids, and now that they're getting older, well, I mean, they're still young. They're 8, 5, and 2. One just had a birthday. And it's like my life has just been consumed by being a mom.
Right.
And, I've been doing this for 8 years now, and we're done. We're definitely done having kids. And so I'm ready to just start, I guess, exploring who I am now, aside from being a mom. And so I think Held2gether has really given me an opportunity to do that, to just try other things besides being a mom that has absolutely nothing to do with being a mom. And so for me, I think that's very important, is just to discover, just something that I can do besides taking care of these little stinkers. I mean, loves of my life.
That's right. Yeah, this is on the internet.
We'll fix this.
They can,
we'll edit that.
They'll see it years from now.
Fix that in post.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what they say.
Cool. I'll tackle the next question.
Yeah.
For those who might not know, the audience out there, hello. Let me find my spot. For those who might not know, what improv is, please explain the improv concept.
What does Darren say? There's 3 things, right? What is it?
Oh,
One is
yeah.
like,
Well, I guess I'm the teacher. I guess I could
yeah,
take this
do-
one.
What do you think?
yes.
Richard teaches the
I
classes.
teach the improv
so-
class. If we had looked at this ahead of time, I maybe
Right.
would not have asked the question that I was then
Right.
going to just answer.
Right. What do you think?
So improv, I mean, just for a basic overview, improv is the creation of scenes with one or more people on stage based off of the audience's suggestions that are made up in the moment. So there's a lot of different rules and philosophies of improv through different schools. Held2gether's main philosophy, we follow 3 sort of primary rules, which is agreement, which is saying yes to whatever information is presented to you in a scene. We also have adding information, which is taking that yes and then saying more about it, you know? And then the final one is commitment, which is just your all-in attitude of just being there and being present. And so with improv, I mean, like the term yes and is sort of the improv, you know, golden rule, right? And it really, it really, no, my brain just shut off. So saying yes and is really all about, in improv, you know, not putting up barricades, not putting up barriers, and letting the scene happen the way it's supposed to happen. And it has a lot of, you know, real life implications as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Agnes?
I'm going to say yes, and I agree.
Committedly,
Committedly. Yes.
Wow. Well done.
Yes. Chris?
Oh gosh. Well, so that's the perfectly put, and I would just say that improv is a thrill ride that can go beautiful and it can go terrible, and that's the thrill ride. I think anybody who either participates in it or watches it understands that nothing has been created. Things are being created before your eyes, and it's not that I'm creating something or Richard or Agnes is creating something. It's we as an audience and a troupe are creating something, and that's really thrilling to see something happen for the first time, because much of the time it starts off with a word or a profession or some sort of idea, a title, and nobody in the entire room knows where that's going to go.
Right.
And so improv is it's about trust and faith and all of this exciting things, and yes, it can go terrible, and that's okay. You know, the greatest comedians in the world have had terrible improv scenes. You know, so but that's the thrill of it. That gets everybody's kind of heart racing. Because we don't know what's going to happen. So
Right.
And I think I think even when it does go terrible, it's still really fun.
Yeah,
Because
I agree. Yep.
because like the worst scene, and I've been in some bad scenes that I'm responsible for. Unless I'm in a scene with you, then obviously
Right, that's
I'm
right.
responsible.
That's right. I've
but
never. That's right.
But some of the worst scenes are still so much fun because the audience knows, and the audience knows when it's not going well, but they still want you to power through it. You know, it's not like other forms of comedy, like stand-up, for example, where you know somebody has prepared this thing that they're going to come and say that they think is funny, and now it's like, I'm going to say this and you're going to laugh because I think it's funny. And the audience is sort of like, okay, entertain me with your clever humor, right? Where with improv, they are a lot more forgiving, the audience, and a lot more on board with the ride, you know?
Sure.
And, you know, if you're doing like a short form show with short individual scenes, you know, one bad scene, that's whatever. It's 3 minutes, 4 minutes, it's done, and you're on to the next thing, and you're able to go forward. So, yeah.
That's true. And with long form, I know one thing I always forget are names. And you know the name was said, and you're looking at this person, and you're like, Steve?
Yes.
And then someone else jumps in and it's like, oh yeah, Steve is the nickname she gives me when everyone knows my name is really David.
Right. Yeah.
But
It's that. Yeah.
But
Yes.
that's
And that's it. It's like you mentioned. It's not us and them. It's all of us together, and they're
it's like
in on it too.
It's like we're being held together.
Together?
Ooh.
I'm gonna get a pen real quick.
Yeah,
I'm gonna write that down.
Held together. Wait, isn't
Seems
that
like
the name of our improv troupe?
Oh, it is. Our
Held2gether.
improv troupe is Held Together.
Wow.
Held2gether.com?
Yeah, with the number 2.
With the number 2.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Shameless plug.
Shameless.
What number?
I'll do the
4.
next question, I
4.
guess.
Okay.
Talk. I'm gonna be serious.
Yes.
Talk if you can about the power of improvisation and why you believe the benefits of improvisation strengthen every part of a person's life.
Well,
It's really
should
serious.
I go deep with this one?
Yes.
Well, for me. Okay. No, so I think with improv, one thing it's helped with me in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not personal, but with everyday life is it helps me be more open to uncertainty. Because that's what happens in improv.
Right.
You don't know what the other person's going to say, and you have to go with it with the scene. So I think with just everyday life, I think that's definitely a help. Where if if I'm having issues with just another person, like a friend or something, they do something that wasn't what we agreed upon. I think with improv, that's definitely helped me to just move past that and just go with it and help it not be such a big deal to me.
Right. Well put.
Yeah.
Richard.
So I get to, as an improv instructor, I get to see a lot of progress from the outside with individuals, which is one of the best things about teaching improv. With Held2gether in Long Beach.
In Bixby Knolls.
Held2gether.com.
There's a Facebook page.
There is a Facebook page as well. But no, there are so many students will come through who are just looking for something to take them out of themselves. They've lived their lives sort of in one box. Sort of maybe introverted or they are funny with their friends, but put them in front of other people and they will clam up. Right. And through the courses, I get to see them come out of that. Yeah. And by the end, be these shining stars. There was one of the first classes that I ever got to teach. There was a woman who was probably in her late 70s, maybe early 80s, and at the beginning of each session of level 1, we talk in a circle about what brought us to this class. Like, why are we taking this improv class? And she said that she had lived her entire life sort of just in the shadows, just like not making any waves, not doing anything, just making sure I go through. She had been married and played sort of the dutiful wife and was the mother to her children, and that was all that she was. That's all that she let herself be, and she wanted to do more at this later age in life. And by the end of her first session, she was cracking jokes before and after class. Like, she showed up one day like in a boa. And it was and it was this great thing because it was just like, look at me, like just look at me, and that was so great. It was look at me. That's what she wanted. That's what she needed in her life, and improv allowed that to happen for her. And so, that was the moment that I knew like that teaching was the thing that I wanted to continue to do, and I knew that it was the right thing for me to do because it helped me to be more aware of where other people's journeys were, and not so focused on my own journey. Not that that's not important. It is important, but to put my journey in the context of other people's as well.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that's. I work with a lot of small businesses around Southern California. Do training and consulting and coaching and all sorts of things like that. And one of the through lines that I see more and more that people need is the need to be present. And so much of our time is lost worrying about what happened or being anxious about what's going to happen. That improvisation is an excellent tool that I've incorporated into a lot of these small businesses to help them realize the power of being present. And that's what improv is all about, being there, being present, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And that can be a real powerful tool for life as well. And so you can really see, that word mindfulness gets used a lot. And I think that improvisation and mindfulness can be very similar, because it takes you just forgetting about everything but being present on your partner. And it's helped me a great deal. And I've also seen it help a lot of people with unleash creativity. It helps with relationships. It helps in just such a wide range of ways. It's really exciting to watch.
Yeah.
You said earlier where people don't realize there's improv in Long Beach or even sketch in Long Beach.
Yeah.
It's weird because Long Beach has a huge university with a very large theater department. And then yet when they graduate, people don't realize that there's still improv in Long Beach. And there's a city college too, which also has, I believe, has theater department too. Yeah. So for college students, they all know they have plenty of theater opportunities, but then they feel like once they graduate, they don't know that that this is here.
Yeah.
And so piggybacking off of what you said earlier, no, I think that's why they need to come here and see that Long Beach has improv as well and has sketch. And I think living in Long Beach, we're sort of on the border of Orange County and LA.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Long Beach also has its own unique personality. And I think our sketches and our the group reflects that.
Yeah.
Because it is Long Beach. It's not Hollywood and LA. It's not Orange County. It's Long Beach.
Yeah.
And that is why Southern California community must
Absolutely
come.
Must come. I think there's a lot of great. First of all, come to check out this show is very funny. First and foremost, it's going to be a lot of funny, odd things that you never would have thought of that could actually happen in a sketch show. And I guess it was a few months ago. I took a class, a one-day class at a famous improvisation place in Hollywood. I'm not going to name their name. And I got in there, and people got up, and it all brought me back to that time where it's very competitive.
Yeah.
Cut through it. All I'm trying to do is be better than you.
Yeah.
And they got up there, and I was amazed. I was like, they're not that
good.
They're not that good. Now that's not to say some of them are great. Some of them are brilliant. But I was surprised, and I just couldn't believe. Yeah, I just went, oh, it kind of affirmed actually we are very, very good, and we know what we're doing, and there's a lot of talent in Long Beach to come see, and a lot of joy. So I would say just to come see a funny show and experience the culture is, I think, a very special thing about Held2gether.
Especially, I know it says it's Southern California, but Long Beach in particular, why Long Beach should come out and see this show.
Sure.
Is because, like you just said, like both of you said, it's Long Beach is this sort of melting pot in what is already a melting pot, of California, Southern California. Yeah. And I too recently went to a Hollywood school for a free thing, and it was cool. But yeah, I kind of walked in, and one was in a room full of, I think there were maybe 22 people there. I was the person of color, which was awesome. Yeah, it's like, oh, cool, neat. And Held2gether, our show is not that. I mean, you're in the show. But
I'm in the show.
But I mean, just there's such a representation of diversity,
Sure.
and that inspires the type of ideas that we bring. You know, our experiences are reflected in these sketches, and so that's part of the reason. And two, I think what's super cool about Held2gether in general is that while some of us did have like theater and film background, a lot of people have not.
Right.
And so you see these performances by people who have not been sort of had the actor training, you know,
Right.
and you get sort of a lot of times, like I'll see somebody like even in classes who are you know just coming, and I'm like, you're so genuine up there. Like I wish I was like
Right.
that. Like I'm more like, here I am, I'm acting.
A verb, actoring.
Yeah, actoring. Yes, I'm
Actoring.
actoring.
It's a verb.
So that's, I mean, just to see Long Beach reflected on stage and Long Beach's ideas in a way that doesn't always get seen